Why is the deep state cabal, the Techno-Nazis of social media, and the mainstream media so afraid of a few people in their kitchens posting videos on their tube? Because crowdsourcing of information among thousands of independent investigators, along with the feedback from their listeners, has consistently called out their lies and exposed their glaring obfuscations and literally tore down the curtain between the deceptions of the Wizard of Oz and the scripted journalism of the compromised free press worldwide. Unless you've been living in a cave like Osama bin Laden, you will recall the most memorable case of mainstream media bullshit stories live on the afternoon of September 11th, 2001, when Jane Stanley and the BBC host, both reading from scripts obviously prepared well in advance, reported the collapse of World Trade Center Building No. 7 a full 25 minutes before it actually fell, and fell into its own footprint, just like the Twin Towers. A child could see this was a controlled demolition. Let's roll that report, shall we?
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense downtown in New York behind me, down by the World Trade Centers, of just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris from 110 floors of the two twin towers of the World Trade Center. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Yes, and many people even today, 18 years later, still can't wrap their heads around the empirical fact that literally everything they've been told by the mainstream media and their government is one big pile of fetid, steaming horseshit, and it has been a pile of putrid propaganda ever since November 22nd, 1963, and most probably far in the past before then. One continuous stream of bold-faced lies, and before this thing you're looking at now, how would anyone dispute what was said? Many of my audience here grew up listening to Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, David Brinkley, Edward R. Murrow, Barbara Walters, and others. And diligent research, along with many exposés and documentaries, proved that all of them were consummate bullshit artists, and we never got a word of unadulterated truth from any of them, and it's 100 times worse today. And to prove what I just said, I ask you a question. How many times have you heard the mainstream media, with the exception of Fox News, say anything positive about Donald Trump since he became president? Why? He was a darling of the media before his election. Why the all of a sudden 180-degree flip-flop? I'll tell you. He moved in their circle of billionaire satanic pedivores, knew what they were all about, and he never became compromised. Donald Trump was the outsider who looked into the window, but never joined the pedivore club, although I believe they tried in vain to get him to join their circle of sick motherfuckers. When he was sworn in, the entire government shit their pants like a blowout after a 6-quart enema. They didn't know what the fuck to do, and they still don't know. They're so desperate to regain the control they've had ever since they killed JFK, they're fucking up big time. They're so afraid of losing again that they've financed, through George Soros, an army of non-uniformed enemy combatants to march up to 3,000 miles through jungles and hot, humid, and bug and snake-infested wilderness through some of the worst shitholes on the planet with false promises of free shit, just vote for us, because no citizen of this country with half a brain who isn't a total imbecile would ever vote Demon Rat. They're so afraid of us, so afraid of the viral truth being exposed by thousands of us on laptops and cell phones, posting rebuttals to their corporate Nazi government, and swung so many votes to Trump in 2016 that we actually won a rigged election. And there is no stopping us. Not demonetization, not deletion of content, not shadow banning, nothing. And we will defeat this evil and shove their lies up their evil asses no matter what they do. And with IG Metall YouTubers Union holding a $50 billion in fines in Germany alone, with or without FCC intervention, the creators of this thing, the videographers and the audience listening to ads on this platform will eventually own this thing, lock, stock, and shithouse. Their arrogance and their belief that those they've had in their pockets all these years will protect them will be their downfall. There is simply no means by which the average person can comprehend the depth and scope of the corruption that even those of us who have seen it and have experienced it firsthand can know. It is a plan to take down a satanic cult of elite bloodline scumbags that has had control of this entire planet and has preyed on the innocent since God called Abraham to walk out of the city of Ur. There is also a great misconception that all of what has errantly been called pedophilia by truthers is simply a sexual attraction to young children. This is partially true, but the clinical etiology of what this really is defies explanation, except to say that sex is not the prime motivation. It is the terror induced into the victim and the adrenochrome harvested from the blood of that child. That's the turn-on. As sick and as nutjob conspiracy theory as that sounds, it's the pure, unadulterated truth. And because most people can't wrap their minds around something so dastardly evil, they force themselves to not believe any such thing is possible, that the people they voted for, the singers and actors they admire, the news anchors they listen to, they couldn't possibly be eating babies. But they do, and they've done it forever. And because you and other God-fearing, decent people force themselves not to believe what is obvious to those of us who have researched and investigated this shit for years, or experienced it firsthand, know, that is precisely how they get away with it. Do it right under our fucking nose, and hope we will continue our collective mass cognitive dissonance and refuse to believe or even consider that such monsters really exist. They do exist, and they're scared shitless of those of us who know and who know how they operate. We will destroy them. God himself and his angels are on our side. This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA Whirlwind Revolt. Thank you for watching, thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your support. God bless you, and Godspeed. Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net4Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.